Part 134. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1331. Under such circumstances. After hearing what the waiter said, Xiaoxian and Bai Ling also looked more curious and dignified. The leader of the True Fire Academy? Heavy fire? If what they expected was correct, this sect leader should also be a strong man at the level of the Dragon God realm. Moreover, since the True Fire Academy can gain a foothold in a place like the Flame Cemetery, it naturally has its own advantages. It should not be a surprise that there are several Dragon God realm powerhouses in the sect. For such strength, Xiaoxian and Bai Ling combined are just two Golden God realm cultivators. How can they fight against the powerful Dragon God realm? This is one of the things he must consider. It seems like you know a lot, waiter. Xiaoxian was also interested and couldn't help but ask, why do you want us to target Huozhong? Don't you know that Huozhong is at least a strong man in the Dragon God realm? In response, the waiter laughed. But this time, Xiaoxian and Bai Ling were a little confused. What did this mean? Isn't the waiter just an ordinary person? How could he appear so calm? He doesn't look like an ordinary person at all, does he? It seems, waiter, you really know something that ordinary people don't know? In that case, why don't you come and listen? Xiaoxian also said directly, by the way, you can also open our eyes. Don't dare to take it seriously. It's just that what I want to say next is that judging from the strength of the two of them, let alone the Golden God realm, even if they face the Dragon God realm, they are not without the power to fight. The waiter said, that's why I dare to ask you two to pay attention to Huozhong. Say something like this. Xiaoxian and Bai Ling also looked at each other, with solemn expressions on their faces at the same time, and began to think about the waiter's words. Because of the previous life-saving grace, they were not worried about the waiter deliberately trying to trick them, but they really had to think carefully about how to defeat a group of Dragon God realm experts with the strength of two Golden God realms. If such a problem is placed on others. Perhaps, some people think this is fanciful and fantasy. But now it's different when it comes to Xiaoxian. Xiaoxian has always been a person who can create miracles. He has counterattacked and defeated people stronger than him countless times before. Therefore, Xiaoxian did not feel how difficult it was. Master, what do you think? Bai Ling couldn't help but ask, if we really want to confront Huozhong and the others, we may need to make more preparations. There's no rush for this. I think Huozhong and the others wouldn't have thought that there would be anyone in the little holy fire land who would do anything with them, right? Xiaoxian shook his head and said. After saying this, the waiter at the shop next to him was also stunned, and then nodded with a wry smile. It is exactly what Xiaoxian said. In the land of Little Holy Fire, True Fire Academy is indeed the undoubted overlord, and as the sect master of True Fire Academy, Huozhong is naturally the person with the highest status among them. Now, after what Xiaoxian said, the waiter and Bai Ling also realized this. If they wanted to compete for Xiao Leiyan's sacred fire, they would inevitably conflict with Huozhong, so they still had to do a lot of preparation work. At least, if they don't have enough power, their end may be very tragic. Figure this out. Bai Ling and the waiter also looked at Xiaoxian, with a little more curiosity in their eyes. For a moment, they really couldn't figure out how Xiaoxian would deal with the situation in front of them. After all, this is still the territory of True Fire Academy. Xiaoxian said calmly, this is undoubtedly a good opportunity for us. I don't believe that with just the few people from the True Fire Academy, we can really swallow Little Lei Yan's holy fire so easily. Bai Ling and the waiter were not surprised. Xiaoxian actually decided to rob other people's sect's treasure and also target the sect's leader. Isn't this a bit too risky? Bai Ling has been following Xiaoxian for a long time, and she understands the latter's strength. However, even so, she still doesn't understand why Xiao Xian has such confidence. Is it just because of the inheritance from the old man of the valley? Although the old man of the valley and his disciples only had a single thought left at that time, their strength still left a deep impression on Xiao Xian. The waiter also whispered, the front should be the core area where the True Fire Academy is located. Generally, only cultivators above the Golden God realm can enter. There are disciples from the True Fire Academy patrolling there at all times, so you too must be careful. But the question is, even if they know this, what can they do? Xiao Xian believes that the power of Xiao Leiyan's holy fire will definitely weaken again by then. If it can still cooperate with his Nine Heavens flame technique, he may be the one who benefits from it. After all, if Huo Zhong tries to devour Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, there will definitely be a group of elders from the True Fire Academy protecting him. On the contrary, there is the foreshadowing of people like Huo Zhong. He had dealt with the old man in the valley before. Xiao Xian himself is quite confident. Now, I am afraid that the people from the True Fire Academy combined may not be able to compare with the giant halberd General Ao Cheng. Why are they confident enough to swallow the holy fire of Xiao Leiyan? Isn't this too arrogant? The chance that they would take advantage of the situation and rob them was probably very slim. In fact, they all knew the reason without Xiao Xian's explanation. As the controller of the Little Holy Fire Land, if Huo Zhong really had the ability to independently devour Little Leiyan's holy fire, he would have taken the initiative to devour it long ago. So what? Will you wait until today? All right. But no matter what, there must be a reason behind Xiao Xian's choice. Hearing Xiao Xian's words, Bai Ling and the waiter were also worried about him, and they were a little anxious. If forced to explain it this way, it doesn't seem unreasonable. Bai Ling and the waiter also had a look of confusion on their faces. Simply, Bai Ling didn't say much at the moment. Don't worry, we are just here to learn about Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. We will not conflict with the True Fire Academy casually. Xiao Xian shook his head, of course, unless the other party goes too far. Say it. Even if Huo Zhong is a strong man at the level of the Dragon God, he will not be able to swallow this Little Leiyan's holy fire with his own strength. Most likely, he will have to rely on the power of so many disciples of the True Fire Academy. It doesn't matter, there will be a road before the car reaches the mountain. Under such circumstances, it's actually very simple. Especially the vast understanding of the great road in the old man of the valley. Even now, he still felt a sense of fear. You must know that at that time, even the old man of the valley in his heyday did not swallow Leiyan's holy fire in one breath. Then let's continue walking forward. At this moment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1332. So, Master, you have already decided. Bai Ling also looked at Xiao Xian seriously and asked, if this is true, maybe we should start preparing to go. Say it. The waiter at the shop next to him was stunned. A nervous look appeared on his face involuntarily. Prepare. Are you preparing to target the fire heavy of True Fire Academy? Do Xiao Xian and Bai Ling really think that their strength has reached such a level that with a little preparation, they can deal with a Dragon God realm fire heavy? Is this a little too confident? This actually made him feel quite nervous. If this comes up, I'm afraid, most people really can't get it if they don't have enough strength. The waiter in the shop was also secretly surprised and swallowed the pill given by Xiao Xian just in one gulp. After the elixir entered his mouth, it turned into a cool breath in an instant and was instilled into his body. This time, he also felt that the breath of fire was not as strong as before. Then keep walking. Speaking of which, this is the first time in my life that I have been to such a deep place. The waiter in the shop seemed to have made up his mind and said to Xiaoxian. Xiaoxian was quite moved by this. He also knew that for ordinary people, the power of cultivators was absolutely terrifying. Not to mention close. Even if you are just approaching, you will feel the danger. Now that the waiter is willing to lead them, it is considered very bold. After the three people discussed it, they also walked forward together. Along the way, they also saw the changes in the scenery in the valley. Xiaoxian discovered that whether it was rocks, plants, or even animals, they would be affected to some extent by the small Leiyan holy fire. He tried attacking with fire techniques and found that the fire attribute resistance of these monsters was frighteningly high. If he hadn't attacked with all his strength, he wouldn't even be able to harm them. The waiter also explained this. These thickly armored monsters are called fire beasts. Although he looks cute, he has a bad temper. Once he gets angry, even 5 or 6 powerful people in the Golden God realm will find it difficult to subdue him. But now, these guys behaved very well when facing Xiaoxian. This actually aroused the curiosity and doubts of the waiter. It turns out that when the waiter was at the inn, he also saw some teams of cultivators who specialized in hunting fire beasts. Although these teams of fully armed cultivators were well equipped and well prepared. But in the end, almost all teams will suffer injuries. Even if they succeeded in catching or killing a fire spirit beast, they would suffer serious losses. According to a team of cultivators and hunters, this kind of fire spirit beast in the land of the little holy fire has devoured and understood the power of the little Leiyan holy fire since childhood, and is stronger than the monster beasts of the same level outside. But at the same time, the quality of the demon claws and demon pills on this fire spirit beast will be higher. Therefore, since the True Fire Academy opened the little holy fire land to everyone, more and more cultivators have come here to hunt fire beasts. After seeing many cultivators being bitten by fire spirit beasts, the waiter also has a natural fear of fire beasts. But who knew that Xiaoxian didn't even have the slightest fear when facing a powerful fire spirit beast? Instead, he took the initiative to attack. Is this because you despise your own short life? But what surprised him even more was that the legendary fire spirit beast with a bad temper now looked resigned to Xiaoxian's attack. No idea of resistance at all? This really made him confused. Are these still the same ones from before, those fire spirit beasts that were madly hunting other hunter teams in the little holy fire land? Are these still those grumpy fire beasts? The waiter couldn't believe his eyes and couldn't help but said, before, in the little holy fire land, I don't know how many powerful practitioners died on the bodies of these fire spirit beasts. Why? Why are these guys so docile now, right? Xiaoxian said with a smile. Yes, although I am an ordinary person, I have seen some cultivators, even cultivators in the dragon god realm, they are afraid of such thick-skinned fire spirit beasts, but why are they like this? Afraid of you, master, the waiter said in shock. Perhaps this is the legendary bloodline suppression, Xiaoxian said casually. Bloodline. Suppress. The waiter looked confused. For him, it was really unexpected that Xiaoxian would say such a thing. Isn't this a bit outrageous? Even if he is an ordinary person with a mortal body, he still knows that Xiaoxian in front of him is from the human race, while the fire spirit beast is from the beast race. Under such circumstances, where did Xiaoxian get the bloodline to suppress this statement? When will the human race be able to suppress the beast race? This seems a bit fanciful, right? More importantly, when Xiaoxian said this, he looked very confident, as if he was very sure about it. This was something he didn't expect. After all, for such a long time, the waiter has hardly found any cultivator who can show such a calm state. This was also something that made him curious. Secret. Xiaoxian smiled slightly, stretched out his hand and touched the fire spirit beast in front of him. At this time, the fire spirit beast even took the initiative to arch its head, seeming to enjoy Xiao Xian's touch. This scene. Even Bai Ling was surprised. Although she has followed Xiao Xian for a long time, this is the first time she has seen Xiao Xian in such a situation. After all, when they were in the tomb of the old man in the valley, they were attacked by monsters. Xiao Xian did not use any bloodline suppression, but what happened now? Why did he suddenly start using such incomprehensible means as bloodline suppression? Master, what are you? Bai Ling looked confused. It's nothing. Maybe these fire spirit beasts will become one of the factors that cause us to swallow up Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. What do you think? Xiao Xian was thoughtful instead. What do you mean? Use fire beasts as a means for us to attack the true fire academy. Bai Ling also reacted instantly. So, you can completely control these fire beasts? If this is true, then this is indeed what a great idea. Certainly. If my prediction is correct, there will be at least thousands of fire beasts in the little holy fire land. Xiao Xian squinted his eyes and said, if these fire beasts attack the true fire academy at the same time, I don't know if they can resist. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1333. Xiao Xian said these words. For a moment, Bai Ling and the waiter's eyes lit up, and they looked at him with incredulous expressions. For them, Xiao Xian's words were simply earth-shattering. Command the fire spirit beast? Or command the fire spirit beast herd? Is such a thing something that a golden god realm cultivator can do? Are you sure this isn't a joke? Indeed, on the Dao continent, there is indeed a kind of beast master with considerable strength. It is said that this kind of beast master can control monsters below level 5 to fight for them. However, this is only below the 5th level. Now these fire spirit beasts are at least 7 or 8 levels, and they have also comprehended the holy fire and opened some intelligent monsters. Their fighting power is not inferior to the ordinary golden gods. Realm cultivator. If we say that there are thousands of fire beasts within the little holy fire, then, there must be a beast king among the fire spirit beasts. The strength of the beast king is at the 9th level at least, which is already equivalent to the strong dragon god realm of the human race. Could Xiao Xian be able to command a monster of this level? If that's the case. So let's not talk about whether Xiao Xian can successfully swallow Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. At least, he can become a strong man in the small living place. Did not expect. Things have come to such an extent. I have heard before that this fire spirit beast is extremely powerful. Even an ordinary strong person in the golden god realm may not be able to win with certainty. The waiter couldn't help but said, but judging from your appearance, Master, you don't seem to be afraid of these fire beasts at all. You even have the intention to tame them. This is simply something that people can't believe. In fact, not only the waiter, but also Bai Ling next to him was surprised by the scene in front of him. She could actually think of it. With Xiao Xian's perseverance and tenacity, he might really be able to devour this little Leiyan holy fire, but he didn't expect that the latter would have such means to try to devour it. It was simply unbelievable. I saw Bai Ling and the waiter in the shop. Xiao Xian was not surprised. After all, with his current strength, it is indeed a bit unbelievable to say that he wants to swallow Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, but this is not the reason for Xiao Xian to give up. On the contrary, he just smiled slightly and said, there is indeed a 9th grade beast king among this group of fire spirit beasts. As long as we surrender the 9th grade beast king, we can control the entire fire spirit beast group. At that time, let alone the true fire academy, even if the entire flame cemetery sects unite, they will not be a match for the beast herd. This is indeed true, but the ninth grade Beast King has almost possessed spiritual intelligence, so how can he surrender? The waiter in the shop was a little hard to understand. This requires some means. Xiao Xian smiled and said no more. In fact, for ordinary people, if they want to subdue a ninth level Beast King, they should at least be in the Saint realm. This might give you some confidence. But it was different for Xiao Xian. As the creation spirit, he originally had the power to create all things. With this power, he could be naturally close to the ninth grade monsters. This feeling of closeness can increase his favorability towards all monsters. This is also the reason why this fire spirit beast has no desire to attack when facing Xiao Xian. At the same time, this is also the key to increasing Xiao Xian's confidence and having the confidence to surrender the ninth grade monster. Xiao Xian said this. The waiter and Bai Ling next to him also had expressions of surprise and curiosity on their faces, paying attention to Xiao Xian, and even more to the fire spirit beast under his command. Compared to them, Xiao Xian was very calm. After all, he has been exposed to some monster beasts on the Great Dao continent for such a long time, and he really has some understanding of these monster beast groups. He discovered that it was on the Great Dao continent. Although the strength of the cultivators is stronger than that of other continents, the strength of the monsters is not that good and cannot pose any threat to him. Even since he came to the Golden God realm, he also found that he seemed to have got through the Governor Ren. The second lineage is the same, with more understanding of monsters. This is something Xiao Xian has never felt before. This also made him a little confused. After all, logically speaking, although he had come into contact with the monster beast clan before, he had not really spent much thought on it. He would not have so much understanding of monster beasts in the Golden God realm. Why can I have this realization now? This really made them a little confused, but at the moment, he really had to imagine this problem carefully. As the creation soul. In his opinion, even if he really faced a ninth grade monster in the future, he would not necessarily be suppressed by his bloodline. On the contrary, it would probably be as easy as he thought, and he would be able to easily defeat the latter. If he says something like this now, let alone the waiter and Bai Ling, no cultivator would believe them in any sect. However, this is the underlying confidence in Xiao Xian's heart. At the moment, Xiao Xian also directly communicated with the system. Brother system. Can you, old man, tell me what is going on? Is it possible that when I reach the Golden God realm, I will be able to have such a familiarity with monsters? Xiao Xian asked directly. After hearing this, the system was silent for a while. This aroused Xiao Xian's curiosity. You know, since he obtained the system, he has had countless interactions with the system. But this is the first time the system is silent. This aroused his curiosity and wanted to understand why the system reacted like this. He had a vague feeling that he had now come into contact with the origin of Dao continent. Although, now he is only in the Golden God realm. But it is undeniable that there is a huge difference between his Golden God realm and the ordinary Golden God realm. Let alone the ordinary Golden God realm, even people in the Dragon God realm may not be able to be like him. Dao understands. Now, he has a special sense of familiarity with monsters. This feeling may really become an opportunity for him to understand the most original secret of the entire Dao continent. Figure this out. Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel a little excited. Incredible. It's unbelievable. This system originally thought that you need to at least reach the Dragon God realm to gain these insights about the great Dao continent, but I didn't expect that your talent would be so powerful. The system said word for word. Hearing these words, even Xiao Xian was a little excited. If he could really understand the origin of the Dao continent in advance, he could solve the catastrophe of the Tianqian continent and the prehistoric continent. Many of his relatives and friends will never have to face death again. He can even truly become the only Taoist saint in the universe. This is naturally exciting for him. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1334. Hey. Brother system, there is no need to look down on people like this. After all this time, don't you still have the most basic understanding of my talent? Xiao Xian smiled. In fact, if he had just arrived in Daodao continent, he would not have dared to say such words. But things are different now. Since entering the Golden God realm, he obviously felt that his understanding of some avenues had improved a lot. Therefore, he also felt qualified to speak like this. But this time, facing the system, Xiao Xian also asked confidently, could it be said that the Golden God realm has already had the opportunity to explore the origin secrets of the Dao continent? Is it true? If it were normal times, there would be no chance. However, what happened to you today is indeed a bit remarkable. Maybe you really have a chance to understand the true Dao before the Dragon God realm or even the Dragon God realm. The system also said. After hearing such words, Xiao Xian couldn't help but feel interested. After coming to the Dao continent for such a long time, he naturally knew how important it was to understand the Dao on the Dao continent. In that case, doesn't it mean that I will use the fastest speed to understand the true origin of the Dao continent? Xiao Xian also had a solemn look on his face. He can know what is the most important thing on this great continent. Since you can rely on such an opportunity to gain enlightenment on the Great Road, then he naturally has to seize such an opportunity. At least, he cannot just watch such an opportunity slip away from him. However, when he saw the hesitation of the system, I also roughly understood something. For such a long time, he still has 100% trust in the system on his body. If the system has not given him a reply for the time being, it means that the matter has not reached the point where he can get it. That being the case, all he has to do now is probably wait. Alright. Since you don't want to say it, brother system, then that's all. At this time, Xiao Xian was a little helpless and could only say, it seems that I can't get these powers for the time being. Not really. If you can successfully swallow Xiao Leiyan's holy fire this time, maybe it will be possible to enter the Dragon God realm or even the Saint realm all at once. The system, which had been silent for a long time, suddenly said. This time, Xiao Xian was stunned and couldn't believe his ears. Dragon God realm? Even the realm of saints? Xiao Xian had considered these realms before, but he took it for granted that even with his cultivation progress, it would take a long time to reach this realm. Unexpectedly, the system actually said this. This really surprised him. Could it be said that he really has the means and methods to quickly improve his strength? Suddenly enter the Dragon God realm, or even the Saint realm? Is this possible? According to the previous nature of the system, you shouldn't lie to him about this kind of thing, so that means it's really possible for him to reach the Dragon God realm quickly. In that case, it seems like I really need to get ready. At least, we need to find out what these fire beasts are afraid of in me. Xiao Xian smiled slightly and said, however, I may have to go to the fire beast's lair next. This was something he could understand before. Monsters like the fire spirit beast. Something like this sounds simple. After thinking about this, a smile appeared on Xiao Xian's lips. But if we really want to do it, the difficulties cannot be easily overcome. Among other things, the biggest difficulty is the little Leiyan holy fire in front of us. Such a path of enlightenment must be extremely difficult, but this was not the reason for him to give up. On the contrary, looking at the red valley reflected by the small holy fire in the distance, he felt a little more eager in his heart. At that moment, a smile appeared on Xiao Xian's lips, and he said to Bai Ling beside him, maybe, this is a real opportunity for us. If I didn't have self-confidence, How could I possibly come to this place of little holy fire? They never expected that Xiao Xian would make such a decision. He is not the first chick to embark on the path of cultivation, so he naturally has his own judgment on the current situation. Bai Ling and the waiter were both shocked. They looked at each other and at the same time looked at Xiao Xian in surprise. This is for him. Xiao Xian also frowned and started thinking. Xiao Xian, a cultivator of the Golden God realm, actually planned to go to the tomb of the fire spirit beast alone? Isn't this seeking death? Not to mention that the fire spirit beasts in the little holy fire land have all understood the existence of the holy fire and are powerful. Even if Xiao Xian tamed it smoothly, he wouldn't be able to tame a 9th grade monster with his own ability, right? So, Master, are you very confident? Bai Ling couldn't help but ask. Not enough strength. Certainly. By then, with the help of the 9 heavens flame technique, he would be confident that his strength would reach the dragon god realm. To make them surrender, there must be something that makes them afraid, whether it is strength, blood, majesty, etc. It is possible. After all, since arriving at the little holy fire land, it's really something worth looking forward to. For Xiao Xian now. Say it. He also had a vague feeling that perhaps the Lei Yan sacred fire really contained the true origin of the Dao on the entire Dao continent. If he can really control the 9th grade fire spirit beast king, then he has a high chance of swallowing little Lei Yan's holy fire. Perhaps, he can really swallow the real Lei Yan's holy fire before the youth conference. Bai Lingzin was slightly moved. See him like this. Let alone comprehending the little Lei Yan holy fire, whether they can survive the hands of the true fire academy and walk out of the little holy fire land is still a question. He can know. As for the other side, at least, the realm can be raised to the peak of the Golden God realm. Perhaps the best opportunity is to find a way to explore the source of power in oneself. It is best to really explore it with one's own ability, which is far more useful than what the system provides. This is simply unbelievable. As a cultivator, she naturally hopes to improve her strength quickly. At least, she can rely on her own strength to have the ability to protect herself in the Flame Cemetery or even the Great Dao continent. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1335. How? You don't believe me? Questions about Bai Ling and the waiter. On the contrary, Xiao Xian acted relatively calmly, just smiled slightly, and then said, "You don't have to worry, since I have made this decision, I am sure to accomplish this matter." Speaking of which, although Bai Ling still seemed hesitant to speak, he finally said no more. She also knew that coming to the small place of life with Xiao Xian this time was a big gamble. If it succeeded, her strength would naturally increase and she would be ready for the next youth conference. But if they fail, they will not only be hunted by the True Fire Academy, but they may even die in the holy fire of Xiao Leiyan. This is definitely something that could happen. As for what Xiao Xian said, going alone to conquer the 9th grade monsters might not be that simple. But now, it seems that they have no better way. At least, if Xiao Xian is not allowed to do this, they may be helpless in the face of Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. Figure out these joints. Bai Ling and the waiter also looked at each other, with a little more expectation for Xiao Xian on their faces. They both knew that if Xiao Xian really got the support of the Fire Spirit Beast group, he would be very helpful in conquering Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. Help. At this time, the waiter also felt like he was in a dream. After all, just yesterday he was a waiter in a shop. Who knew that now, he would become a thief intent on stealing Xiao Leiyan's sacred fire? He had never dared to think about such a thing before. But now, it has become a real reality. This. So, is your goal really Xiao Leiyan's holy fire? After watching Xiao Xian leave, The waiter in the shop only reacted belatedly and looked at Bai Ling beside him in disbelief. Could it be that the young master just now really went to find the leader of the fire spirit beast group? In this regard, Bai Ling had nothing to hide, and just nodded slightly. Actually, really tell me what's going on inside her. She was still shocked in her heart. At least, Xiao Xian would not have made such a choice if he did not have strong enough power. Could it be said that Xiao Xian really has the ability to conquer the leader of the fire spirit beast group? The other side. Xiao Xian also walked alone towards the depths of Xiao Leiyan's holy fire land. In fact, when he saw this fire spirit beast, he vaguely felt an unusual and familiar aura. It seemed that he had encountered this kind of aura in both the Tianqian continent and the prehistoric continent. This was also what aroused his curiosity. You know, he was not a cultivator of the demonic beast path before, and he only had some basic understanding of the demonic beast path. However, he later came into contact with the Dragon Clan, Phoenix Clan, and Unicorn Clan, which are large races of monsters. Therefore, he still has the most basic understanding of the monster clan, at least more familiar with it than ordinary cultivators. Just now, when Xiao Xian came into contact with the fire spirit beast, he seemed to feel that the familiar aura in the body of the fire spirit beast seemed to be something he could use, and it might even become his way to conquer the leader of the fire spirit beast group. The essential. Go all the way. Under the leadership of the fire spirit beast. He could also feel that the atmosphere around him was becoming more and more familiar, which made Xiao Xian feel a little excited. At the same time, he was also racking his brains to think about the source of this aura. Finally, when he finally saw a tall woman wearing a red robe with a cold face, he reacted. This breath. At this time, Xiao Xian noticed that the woman in red robe was also extremely beautiful, with long black hair, a fair face, and a pair of slender red and phoenix eyes that were also cold. The woman in red robe stared at Xiao Xian and said. The woman in red robe turned back, a hint of indifference flashed in her eyes. This shows that among the fire spirit beasts, the level of evolution of these fire spirit beasts is still quite high. And on this woman in red robe, there was a strong aura of the king of demonic beasts on this woman's body, which was stronger than the auras of all the demonic beasts they encountered on the Great Dao continent. Moreover, Xiao Xian can roughly feel it. This moment. Little Lei Yan's holy fire is the secret treasure of my fire spirit beast clan. How can I give it to you casually? Are you looking for death? I just don't know if she can speak human words. Relying on your mere strength of the Golden God realm? Isn't this a bit self-deceiving? If his prediction was correct, this woman should be the leader of the fire spirit beast, which also made him a little impressed. Hee. You don't seem to be strong enough to devour little Lei Yan's holy fire, but if you dare to come to our tribe alone, you probably have some trump cards. You might as well show them to us. If he could, it would save him a lot of effort. It was the chi of transformation that he realized on the ancient continent. Xiao Xian didn't expect it either. He also reacted and understood the identity of this woman. On the contrary, if you have ancient bloodline, the monster can transform into human form after reaching adulthood. The woman in red robe hasn't spoken yet. There were many strong men from the fire spirit beast group nearby who spoke. Of course I'm here for Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. Xiao Xian was honest. If that's the case. At the same time, he also saw that there were more than a dozen fire spirit monsters with amazing strength and strong aura around the woman. He could tell at a glance that these monsters should be at least 8th grade or above. She looks like a beast queen. On the ancient continent, monsters and beasts are rampant, and there are many strong ones. There are also many monsters that were bred in ancient times. However, when these monsters without ancient bloodline were born, most of them were huge in size and ferocious in appearance. Seeing this, Xiao Xian was very calm and just smiled and said, since you have turned into a human form, you don't have any pursuit of this little Laiyan holy fire, right? In this case, why not lend it to me? It can be regarded as a gift, use it to its best advantage. This aroused Xiao Xian's curiosity. He originally thought that among the fire spirit beasts, only the red-robed woman could speak human words, but he did not expect that even some ordinary elders had this ability. Presumptuous. Clan leader, I'll just kill this Xiao Xiao directly. Why do you have to talk nonsense with him? This is also the reason why ancient monsters often consider themselves superior. Xiao Xian also felt a trace of the aura of transformation. This is a good thing for him. In the land of the little holy fire, the leader of the monster beasts who control thousands of fire spirit beasts has actually transformed into a human form. Why did you come to my little holy fire land? Just as Xiao Xian approached, the red-robed woman took the initiative to speak. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1336. Facing the hostility of a group of fire spirit beasts. Xiao Xian acted quite calmly. He just stretched out his hand and waved his hand gently, and a thin milky white origin chi appeared in his hand. At first, these monsters looked with disdain and contempt. However, when they saw the origin chi in his hand, even the red-robed woman had a look of surprise on her face. Who are you? Why do you have these great avenue source energy in your hands? A look of surprise appeared on the red-robed woman's face, and she couldn't help but say, you are only in the golden god realm, how come you have such great source energy in your body? In this regard, Xiao Xian just smiled and said, in this case, we will just open the skylight and speak openly. If you want to transform into a human form, perhaps what you need most is the source of energy, isn't it? Say it. The monsters present were also a little silent. Indeed, as Xiao Xian said, these monster beasts are practicing here in order to transform into human form. But it's been so long. Only their leader has the chance to turn into a human form. For the entire fire spirit beast group, what they long for most is the trace of source energy that they can comprehend from Xiao Lei Yan's holy fire. But now, Xiao Xian can actually have origin chi in his body. This really surprised all the monsters, but immediately, their faces became a little greedy. For their monster tribe. If you want to transform into a real human form, what you need most is a trace of the source energy of the great avenue bred between heaven and earth, and it is extremely difficult to obtain this source energy. Even their orc leader. It was only after hundreds of years of hard training that he realized a trace of the remaining source energy from Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, and then got the chance to transform. Now, there is such pure origin chi in Xiao Xian's body. To those monster beasts in the herd, this is no different than a hungry man seeing delicious and plump barbecue. At that moment, several 8th-level monsters couldn't bear it anymore and were ready to go up and snatch it. However, after realizing his subordinate's intentions, the woman in red robe stopped them directly. She could see that Xiao Xian's strength was only at the golden god level, but he had an extraordinary bearing and might have some trump cards. She looked at Xiao Xian seriously at the moment. Although your excellency is in the golden god realm, your origin chi is quite surprising, the red-robed woman said directly, since you have such origin chi, why are you still interested in the holy fire? It's true. I can give this source energy to you for free, as long as you help me drive away the people from the True Fire Academy. Xiao Xian also said directly, if this is the case, I can guarantee that at least 5 of you can transform into human form. Say this. All the fire spirit beasts present also became excited. Among the monster beasts, the final state of cultivation is to transform into human form, but for so many years they have been unable to find enough source energy to help them transform into human form. But now, Xiaoxian can actually take out origin qi so generously. This is definitely a huge temptation. At the moment, some of the elder guardians of the fire spirit beast were also looking at the red-robed woman Huo Yan ran with concern. As the leader of the fire spirit beast, Huo Yaner is the only 9th level monster among the fire spirit beasts. With such a powerful force, her decision is also the decision of the entire fire spirit beast herd. Only now, facing Xiaoxian, she still had some doubts in her heart. She could actually feel that the origin qi in Xiaoxian's body was indeed genuine, and it could indeed help many monsters from the fire spirit beast tribe transform into human forms. However, she did not expect Xiaoxian to make such a request. This was actually a bit beyond her expectation. In this case, do you really want to swallow Xiao Leiyan's holy fire? Huo Yaner asked curiously, could it be that you really think you can swallow little Lei Yan's holy fire? Say this. The monsters present also focused on Xiaoxian. In fact, it is not necessarily difficult for the fire spirit beast tribe to deal with those from the true fire academy. It's just that they are more curious. With Xiaoxian's current strength, how could he swallow Xiao Leiyan's holy fire? Certainly. Don't you guys trust me? Xiaoxian smiled. He knew that for these groups of monsters, origin qi was definitely what they pursued throughout their lives. Today I saw that he had the source of energy. So no matter what, they will not give up the opportunity to cooperate easily, let alone letting them stop the True Fire Academy. Even if they are asked to directly kill the True Fire Academy, they will not refuse. As for their current doubts, they are actually just excuses. At this point, Xiaoxian also smiled and explained to Huo Yaner, actually, as the leader of the clan, you should know that the origin qi you comprehended was obtained from the little holy fire. This is not a secret. Huo Yaner shook her head and said, even our tribe knows this. Therefore, it is not that difficult for me to get Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, Xiaoxian said directly. How do I say this? Xiaoxian's words stirred up 1,000 waves. In an instant, all the fire spirit beasts present turned their attention. They have all been cultivating in this place of Xiao Leiyan's holy fire for decades or even hundreds of years. However, despite this, they can still feel the strong intimidation of Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. Just by getting close, they can feel the fierceness of their bodies and souls. Pain. This is based on the fact that they are monsters with strong bodies and souls. If it were an ordinary cultivator, facing such a powerful Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, he might not be able to hold on for even 1 second. Apart from anything else, the fact that True Fire Academy has not swallowed up Xiao Leiyan's holy fire for so many years is the best proof. But who knows? How could Xiaoxian be so confident? Is it possible that he is stronger than Huo Zhong, the leader of True Fire Academy? If that was the case, there was no need for him to come to the Fire Spirit Beast clan. If it was before. If a person in the Golden God realm said this to Huo Yaner, she would definitely look down upon him. But things are different now. After seeing the rich origin qi on Xiaoxian's body, she suddenly realized something. Perhaps that's why Xiao Leiyan's holy fire is so powerful. Is it because of the origin energy in Xiaoxian's body? Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1337. Figure this out. Huo Yaner also felt a little bit in her heart. She vaguely felt that the source qi in Xiaoxian's hand seemed to have some insights she had gained after practicing for thousands of years. And more importantly, she felt that her own 1,000-year understanding was not even as good as the source qi in Xiaoxian's hand, which really made her a little excited. To know. For monsters, it is not an easy thing to embark on the path of cultivation. Perhaps, what is easy for human cultivators to understand will take a long time for monsters to understand. If it weren't for the monster's innate body and soul, it would be strong. I'm afraid that on the great Dao continent, the demon clan has long been wiped out by the human race. Now, Huo Yan'er also clearly felt that the origin energy in Xiao Xian's body indeed contained a great understanding that she could not understand, which really surprised her. To know. He has been practicing for thousands of years. She can be regarded as one of the monster beasts among the monster beasts who has a relatively deep understanding of the avenues. Basically, she can analyze some of her own insights when facing most avenues. But now, facing the origin chi of a person in the Golden God realm, she has no clue. This is something she would never dare to imagine. However, this also proves from the side that Xiao Xian's origin chi is indeed extraordinary. Chief of the Fire Clan, do you think we should agree? An elder of the Fire Spirit Beast Clan couldn't help but ask. It sounds like a good opportunity. Another elder nodded and said. Indeed, if 2 more 9th grade experts can appear in our tribe, we can also have a place in Nanzan Hai's Huo Yan'er nodded slightly and looked back at Xiao Xian. I agree with your suggestion. Good. Thank you very much. Xiao Xian was not surprised by this result. He knew very well how tempting it was to transform into a demonic beast, but this time he came to the fire beast group alone, and his purpose was not just to find help. He also needs the fire spirit beast's understanding of Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. Although the store waiter had given some help before, he was just an ordinary person after all, and his understanding of it was not very deep. But the fire spirit beast group is different. These fire spirit beasts have been in the land of Xiao Leiyan's holy fire for many years, and their understanding of Xiao Leiyan's holy fire is probably no worse than that of True Fire Academy. If Xiao Xian can get some understanding of Xiao Leiyan holy fire from them. So next. It will naturally be of great help to him to swallow Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. This is Xiao Xian's real purpose. At the same time, Huo Yan'er's heart also moved after feeling Xiao Xian's strong origin chi. She had worked hard to cultivate in Xiao Leiyan's land for thousands of years, and then she was lucky enough to get a trace of origin chi. Take this opportunity. Perhaps, she can help the Fire Spirit Beast clan get rid of the painful training method every day and cultivate into human form as soon as possible, so that the Fire Spirit Beast clan can become a large and powerful tribe above Nanzan Hai's Hu. Figure this out. Huo Yan'er also smiled sweetly and said, do you know that it is not difficult for us to defeat the True Fire Academy, but it is difficult for you to reach the sky if you want to devour little Leiyan's holy fire? If you are not careful, you may be swallowed by the flames. Xiao Xian was also prepared for this. He knew that now his realm was only the Golden God realm, and perhaps he could be regarded as the core disciple of the sect in the Flame Cemetery. However, in front of the powerful Fire Spirit Beast group, his level is a bit unsatisfactory. If he can't show his true strength or trump card, Huo Yan'er will probably not believe him. If he couldn't even pass Huo Yan'er's test, I'm afraid, he really doesn't have to swallow any little Leiyan's holy fire. Even this time, Xiao Xian may really have a chance to swallow Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. They were born in this place of Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. They relied on Xiao Leiyan's holy fire to practice day and night. They were extremely resistant to flames, but now they faced the flame in Xiao Xian's hand. Huo Yan'er said with a smile. In this state, even if she is a monster. Good. They all also understand that since Xiao Xian can have such an understanding of flames, then needless to say, his achievements in the future will be immeasurable. But the matter has come to this, and he has no other way. Although his flame understanding is powerful, his current strength is indeed unable to fight against the entire True Fire Academy by himself. The current Huo Yan'er strength is at least above the 9th level, which is equivalent to the human race's Dragon God realm or even the Saint realm. Since leaving the old man's grave in the valley. Indeed, This Huo Yaner is the leader of the Fire Spirit Beast clan and an old fox who has been practicing for thousands of years. I'm afraid she might not be coaxed by her few words. Hearing this, Xiao Xian was also stunned, and then he shook his head helplessly. Presumably, she also has her own requirements. At the same time, they were completely silent towards Xiao Xian this time. If you want our Fire Spirit Beast tribe to start a war against True Fire Academy, you need to promise us one more thing. If possible, we will naturally take action. This was actually something they didn't even expect. As the saying goes, laymen watch the excitement, while insiders watch the door. She also had a very profound understanding of flames. After seeing the flame in Xiao Xian's hand, she couldn't help but take a breath of air. So at the moment, Xiao Xian didn't say much. A flame slowly rose up in his hand, which was the Nine Heavens flame technique that he had comprehended. To know. As the leader of the Fire Spirit Beast herd, Huo Yaner naturally has a very deep understanding of flames. After just one glance, she immediately saw what was unusual about it. They couldn't believe that a human being in the Golden God realm could have such a profound understanding of flames, which even they could not match. Therefore, we can only cooperate with the Fire Spirit Beast group. They did feel a visceral fear. At this time, his Nine Heavens flame technique has broken through the third level and reached the fourth level. It's not true. Xiao Xian has never neglected his understanding of the Nine Heavens flame Ju. This is the speed that the old man in the valley doesn't know. At the same time, all the monster beasts in the Fire Spirit Beast group did not dare to show their anger. Hearing this, Xiao Xian also nodded with satisfaction. In that case, are you willing to help me deal with the True Fire Academy? For thousands of years, I never expected that such a talented practitioner would appear in the human race. Since you have such a profound understanding of flames, maybe you really have a chance to devour Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. At the moment, after Xiao Xian showed the flames on his body, Huo Yaner next to him was also stunned, and then carefully observed the flames in front of him. Although there was not much time left for him to comprehend, with the help of the system and the accumulation of the Lei Yan holy fire in the flame cemetery, his comprehension speed was very fast. Huo Yaner looked at Xiao Xian with interest. Otherwise, he might be so surprised that he can't speak. He also understood. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1338. That's fine. In that case, tell me, what do you need me to agree to? Xiao Xian laughed helplessly. He was also prepared for this. As long as Huo Yaner didn't make excessive demands, he wouldn't be unable to agree. Also curious were the monster beasts from the Fire Spirit Beast clan. Because of their blood relationship, Huo Yaner was the undoubted leader and clan leader to them. As long as it was something Huo Yaner promised, they would naturally follow it. Only now. They were also a little curious, why did Huo Yaner, who was usually aloof, suddenly act like this? For a human cultivator in the Golden God realm, make such a request? Isn't this a bit strange? After all, it is understandable that Huo Yaner agreed to help them fight against the True Fire Academy in order to get the origin energy from Xiao Xian. But now there are other requests? Wouldn't this be a bit much? After all, origin chi is already extremely precious on the Dao continent. For their Fire Spirit Beast tribe, it is not impossible to directly destroy the True Fire Academy, let alone just blocking the True Fire Academy. But now Huo Yaner can still make demands. This had to arouse their curiosity. They really wanted to see what demands their clan leader could make. I request that you sign a blood oath with our Fire Spirit clan, Huo Yaner said. What? You said you want to sign a blood oath with me now? Xiao Xian couldn't help being stunned. In fact, not only him, but also the elders of the Fire Spirit Beast clan next to him were stunned. They did not expect that their clan leader Huo Yaner would propose such a condition. You know, Xiao Xian is only in the Golden God realm now. Even if he is good at understanding flames, it is just some understanding, and he is still slightly inferior to them in terms of strength. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come here specifically to beg them to deal with the True Fire Academy. However, if a blood oath is signed, it means that Xiao Xian and the Fire Spirit Beast clan already have an unbreakable relationship. Under such circumstances, Huo Yaner actually made such a request, which surprised all the tribesmen. Blood oath? You mean, you want to sign a blood oath with me? Xiao Xian was a little surprised and asked proactively, I don't know, what does the Fire Clan leader want? He could see it too. The Huo Yaner in front of him was a 9th grade monster, far superior to him in strength, but now, it was a bit strange that he took the initiative to sign a blood oath. However, Xiao Xian would not really think that this was his personal charm. On the contrary, he knew clearly that Huo Yaner probably had another cemetery, so he asked directly, what does Chief Huo want me to do? You might as well just say it directly. Say this. Huo Yaner seemed to understand. It seemed that Xiao Xian's question was not beyond her expectation. Therefore, she also said directly, in this case, I will say it bluntly, I need you to swallow the real Lei Yan holy fire. Say it like this. Not only Xiao Xian, but also the surrounding fire spirit beast groups were completely stunned, looking at Huo Yaner in disbelief. They all couldn't believe that this sentence actually came out of her mouth. To know the power of the holy fire is not to mention the place of the small holy fire. Even in the entire Nanzan Haizu, and even the entire Dao continent, it is the first-class treasure. That's Xiao Xian's strength now. Let alone letting him devour Lei Yan's holy fire, I'm afraid his body won't be able to withstand the flame deterrent brought by Lei Yan's holy fire if he just gets close, right? But after hearing Huo Yaner's words at this moment, Xiao Xian felt a sense of connection. After all, for such a long time, not many people could guess what he was thinking, and no one would believe that he could swallow Lei Yan's holy fire. But he didn't expect that a monster would guess it today. Moreover, it is also a 9th-level monster that has transformed into a human form. However, Xiao Xian was still willing to accept the task given to him by Huo Yaner, at least he would do it anyway in the future. No problem. This is also one of my future plans. Xiao Xian nodded directly and agreed. In response to this, not only Huo Yaner, but also all the monster beasts from the fire spirit tribe were stunned and looked at Xiao Xian in disbelief. In fact, when Huo Yaner made this request, all the monsters were a little dismissive and didn't think they had the ability. But now, they didn't expect Xiao Xian to agree to it, as if it was a matter of course. Huo Yaner also had a bit of surprise on her face. In fact, she did take a fancy to Xiao Xian's flame comprehension talent, thinking that one day in the future, someone might really get the real Lei Yan's holy fire, but that was also the future. Who knew that Xiao Xian would agree immediately? Are you sure this isn't bragging? For such power, others may not care, but anyone with a discerning eye can see that Xiao Xian's words are not just casual words, but what he really thinks in his heart. This really surprised all the monsters. You mean, you also want to swallow Lei Yan's holy fire in the future? Huo Yaner had a look of curiosity on her face. Good. But not in the future, but as soon as possible. Xiao Xian said seriously. In fact, after feeling the origin energy in Xiao Lei Yan's holy fire, he really vaguely felt that he did have a chance to swallow Lei Yan's holy fire. Therefore, he also made the decision internally. If the swallowing of the little Lei Yan's holy fire goes smoothly this time, he can try to swallow the real Lei Yan's holy fire. In this way, he might not be able to understand the true origin of the Dao continent and save the Tianqian continent and the prehistoric continent. This kind of thing sounds a bit bold. However, for Xiao Xian himself, he did not think this was impossible. Okay, it's settled. If this is really the case, our fire spirit beast group will definitely help. Huo Yaner said, when are you going to devour Xiao Leiyan's holy fire? If I were you, I would choose now. Hear this. Xiao Xian also thought about it seriously, then nodded and said, actually, this is what I think in my heart. If possible, let's leave now. The fire spirit beast heard, let's go. Huo Yaner also raised her head slightly and said calmly. As soon as these words came out, the entire group of fire spirit beasts also began to stir, and the flame aura rose higher and higher, which also shocked Xiao Xian slightly. He can feel it too. Perhaps, this is the true strength of the fire spirit beast group. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1339. Seeing such great power, Xiao Xian also nodded slightly satisfied. It is worthy of being the place of Xiao Leiyan, the most powerful orc group. Judging from the strength, there are at least 5 or 6 8th level monsters. This is equivalent to 5 or 6 human dragon god realm experts. Coupled with thousands of 6th and 7th level monsters, with such power, not to mention the true Fire Academy, even if the other sects in the Flame Cemetery combined, they would not be able to match them. We can guarantee that we will take down the true Fire Academy within an hour. How much time do you need to comprehend Xiao Leiyan's holy fire? Huo Yaner said confidently, if you don't have enough confidence, you can also choose to avoid the edge temporarily. Hear these words. Xiao Xian also shook his head slightly and said with a smile, you don't have to worry about this. Since I said I would fight against these forces, I will not give up easily. Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, I am bound to win it. As for time, 1 hour is enough. What? You said you could swallow Xiao Leiyan's holy fire within an hour, are you bragging? Do you know that countless powerful people in the Dragon God realm have tried to swallow Xiao Leiyan's holy fire over the years, but they all failed in the end? Do you think you are stronger than them? I think it's better to be cautious. Some of the monster beasts in the fire spirit beast group said. In this regard, Xiao Xian also nodded. In fact, he understood that although the words of these monster beasts were straightforward, the truth behind them was indeed correct. With his current strength, it does seem a bit arrogant to say such a thing. However, he might have felt a little guilty before, but it was different now. After gaining insights into Origin Chi, he found that the great avenues on the Great Avenue continent were not so difficult to comprehend. As long as there are enough opportunities. Perhaps, it is not impossible to have a chance to understand this Leiyan holy fire. What's more, even if he can't understand it, there will be a system to tell the truth, so Xiao Xian is not so nervous. Figure out these joints. Xiao Xian also followed the Fire Spirit Beast group towards the direction of True Fire Academy. With the guidance of these people, Xiao Xian soon saw a group of disciples from the True Fire Academy. He noticed that these disciples were sitting cross-legged on the ground, seeming to be patiently meditating on something. This actually aroused his curiosity. You know, he has been coveting Leiyan's holy fire for such a long time, but he has never had the opportunity to come into contact with it. As for the little Leiyan holy fire in this place of little holy fire, he was really interested. But now, he really wanted to see how Huo Yaner would drive away these disciples from the True Fire Academy, and how the people from the True Fire Academy would resist. So this time, Xiao Xian simply stayed where he was, wanting to watch Huo Yaner's performance. However, it may be that the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. When he saw a group of fire spirit beasts appearing, Huo Zhong actually ran away in a hurry with a group of disciples. This really made Xiao Xian a little bit dumbfounded. He originally thought that the True Fire Academy was a sect with some status in the little holy fire land. Who knew that it would run away so easily now? Is it possible that Cheng Cheng is so afraid of the fire spirit beasts? Impossible. What does it mean? Why do you give up so easily now? Regarding the current situation, Xiao Xian also looked at Huo Yana in front of him curiously and said directly, "It seems that your group of fire spirit beasts is very strong, but the True Fire Academy is actually afraid of it." In response, Huo Yana also smiled slightly, "Now, you are the only one in Xiao Leiyan's land. How do you want to gain enlightenment? Okay, then I'll try to use origin chi to comprehend." At this moment, Xiao Xian did not hesitate, and directly used the power of the avenue in his body to begin to comprehend. He also understands. Huo Yaner can help him drive away the True Fire Academy. However, he can only rely on himself to understand Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. After sitting cross-legged on the ground, lines of Dao origin chi also slowly appeared around Xiao Xian's body. After running the Nine Heavens Flame Ju, Xiao Xian also felt that his perception of flames was becoming more and more sensitive. It seemed that no flames around him could escape his eyes and arms. "Just raise your head slightly." He saw that in the center of Xiao Leiyan's land, there was a tiny orange flame. Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. Although he was far away, Xiao Xian could still feel the fluctuations of source energy on the flame. This made him feel happy. Originally, he thought that the Great Road was the Great Road and the source energy was the source energy. There should be no exchange between them. But the current situation really gave him a feeling of enlightenment. If, on the Great Dao continent, even the breath of origin chi exists in Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, then how could there be no origin chi in the origin of the Great Dao continent? That being the case, perhaps on the Great Dao continent, there is a different relationship between origin chi and the origin of the Great Dao. At that moment, Xiao Xian also closed his eyes silently and began to run the Nine Heavens Flame Ju. Compared with what the old man in the valley taught him at that time, Xiao Xian now has a trace of his own origin energy in the Nine Heavens Flame Ju. With such source of energy, Xiao Xian discovered that the speed at which he could run the Nine Heavens Flame technique was actually faster than he imagined. This was something he didn't expect. However, he had to admit that with the addition of origin chi, his understanding of flames was indeed much faster, and he could even peel off some unique understandings of the avenue from Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. This made him very happy. You must know that whether it is Leiyan's holy fire or Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, his purpose of comprehending and devouring it is to obtain the origin of the great path. Now that he can feel this kind of aura from Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, he is also very happy. Time passed by minute by minute. After the first Dao comprehension appeared, the subsequent Dao realizations were like snowflakes, one after another drilling into Xiao Xian's head. In less than half an hour, Xiao Xian had completely comprehended all the great insights in Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. Even Xiao Xian himself didn't expect this. Before, he could only see the powerful power of the holy fire, so he took it for granted and felt fear. But it's different now. After truly trying to understand Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, he also discovered that it seemed that there was a true origin of the great Dao in the holy fire, and this was what was truly important. And if he can understand these things, there is nothing scary about Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. He can completely comprehend it with his own strength. Enlightenment. It doesn't seem that difficult. Xiao Xian smiled slightly, raised his head and said, "In this case, it seems that I have the ability to comprehend the real Leiyan holy fire." Are you crazy? If you become the leader of the clan, all the clan members will become emperors. Author, greedy for the body but not FO. Chapter 1340. At this time, hearing Xiao Xian's words, the fire spirit monster beasts were also stunned. They didn't expect that Xiao Xian could say such words. I really want to talk about it. Xiao Xian still has some strength. Perhaps, he has some unusual understanding of the avenue of flames, but relying solely on these, it is still a bit impossible to understand the holy fire that swallows Lei Yan. Now after hearing these words, all the fire spirit beasts were non-committal, but Huo Yan'er looked at Xiao Xian and narrowed her eyes. Intuitively, she seemed to feel that Xiao Xian did not say this casually. On the contrary, she also vaguely felt that in just half an hour, Xiao Xian's strength seemed to have improved a lot. This really made her a little confused. After all, as a 9th grade monster, Huo Yan'er's strength is already infinitely close to the saint realm of the human race. Under this realm, not to mention Xiao Xian, who is in the golden god realm, even a strong dragon god realm like Huo Zhong must take the initiative to avoid him. But now, even she feels it. Xiao Xian's strength has changed, and she can easily deduce that Xiao Xian must have benefited a lot from Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. This was something she couldn't understand. After all, she herself could see clearly that Xiao Leiyan's holy fire was still staying where it was and had not been swallowed by Xiao Xian. So why did his strength improve so quickly? For a while, Huo Yan'er really couldn't understand what Xiao Xian meant. However, at this moment, Xiao Xian acted relatively calmly and took the initiative to take out 3 balls of origin qi. This is the origin qi promised to the leader of the fire clan. See this pure white origin energy. Huo Yan'er was really surprised. She didn't expect that Xiao Xian could be so generous and true to his word. For the fire spirit beast clan, this is undoubtedly the most precious treasure. At that moment, Huo Yan'er also accepted the origin qi, and then looked at Xiao Xian with suspicion. If my guess is correct, your current strength has already swallowed up Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, right? When these words were said, the fire spirit beasts were also surprised. Then, they looked at each other with solemn expressions on their faces. They didn't expect it either. Xiao Xian, who is in the golden god realm, can actually have such great abilities. Swallowing Xiao Leiyan's holy fire? Although this is just Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, the power of the holy fire is no joke. If Xiao Xian can really swallow Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, his strength should have reached the dragon god realm by now. The fire clan has good eyesight. Xiao Xian nodded, and then waved his hand, and Xiao Leiyan's holy fire took the initiative to get into his hand. At the same time, there was a hint of red between his eyebrows. Swallowed, successful. This young master actually swallowed Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. It's unbelievable. A person in the golden god realm actually swallowed up Xiao Leiyan's holy fire. It's really a unique thing. The group of fire spirit beasts were also shocked. For so many years, the monster beast clan has also tried to devour little Leiyan's holy fire, but no one has been able to succeed. Even if Huo Yan'er reaches the 9th level, she still lacks some understanding of flames. Therefore, he had no choice but to give up swallowing. But who would have thought? It is absolutely unbelievable that Xiao Xian, a human of the golden god realm, can accomplish such a thing. But at this moment, after swallowing Xiao Leiyan's holy fire, the power of the Dao in Xiao Xian's body has also been greatly improved. He feels that he can break through the golden god realm and reach the dragon god realm at any time. But the most important thing is not that. What he can feel is that the real treasures in Xiao Leiyan's holy fire should be the subtle origins of the avenue. And what is contained in the origin of these avenues is the understanding of the avenue that all cultivators on the continent of Dao have worked hard to understand. This also gave Xiao Xian a feeling of sudden enlightenment. He discovered that it turned out that on the Dao continent, the true understanding of the Dao was contained in the origin of the Dao. The origin of the great avenue is within the holy fire. As for the origin qi in his body, it is the key to understanding the holy fire. In this case, the most important thing he should do now seems to be to directly comprehend the holy fire, so as to improve his control over the origin of the avenue. As long as he comprehends and swallows enough holy fire, then, his strength will naturally increase greatly, and he will have a better understanding of the origin of Deo continent. From now on, he will naturally be invincible on Deo continent. Figure out these joints. Xiao Xian naturally understood what he should do next. The little Lei Yan holy fire has been swallowed up. Next, I should go to the real Lei Yan holy fire. Xiao Xian said seriously. For him, such words are what he thinks in his heart. But for the fire spirit beast clan and even Huo Yan'er, this was a bit shocking. The golden god realm swallowed and comprehended the holy fire of Xiao Leiyan. This was originally something that shocked the entire Nanzan Hai's who knew that Xiao Xian now said that he wanted to devour the real Lei Yan holy fire. Are you sure this isn't bragging? Are you going to devour the real Lei Yan's holy fire? Huo Yan'er couldn't help but cover her mouth. She could indeed feel that Xiao Xian's talent was good, and he might really have a chance to devour the real Lei Yan's holy fire. This is also the reason why she took the initiative to sign a blood oath with Xiao Xian. But who knew that Xiao Xian would choose to devour Lei Yan's holy fire now? Are you sure this is not seeking death? Do you know that the power of this little Lei Yan holy fire is not even 1,000th of that of the real Lei Yan holy fire? Huo Yan'er couldn't help but said, don't say that you have just reached the dragon god realm. Even if you have the saint realm, it is not that simple to swallow Lei Yan's holy fire. Of course. However, my purpose is not to devour, but to comprehend. Xiao Xian shook his head and said, as long as I have the opportunity to comprehend, maybe I think that devouring it will not be too far away. Speaking of which, Huo Yan'er was completely confused. She also didn't expect that Xiao Xian could actually say such words. You know, the flame cemetery has existed for hundreds of years. Over these hundreds of years, countless talented practitioners have tried to gain enlightenment, but no one has succeeded. How can Xiao Xian be so confident now? This is definitely something that most people would never imagine. It can even be said that this is something that shakes the entire flame cemetery. However, I still have two friends here. I wonder if the leader of the fire clan is interested in meeting. Let's go together to comprehend the holy fire of Lei Yan, Xiao Xian asked casually.